Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. There was another by-election in case you missed it. This time it was at county level for Argyll and Bute. It was in the ward of South Kintyre, which gives you something to mull over. It was another massive defeat for the SNP and will be very hugely embarrassing, of course, for Humza Yousaf, a man who has not yet won a by-election or election ever since taking control of the party. People are rejecting the SNP at every available opportunity. It was, however, a family affair, with the outgoing SNP councillor being replaced by the incoming independent councillor, who happens to be his daughter. She won with a truly massive 57.7% of the vote, and when nearly 2/3 of the electorate are voting for an independent rather than the SNP, you know it's going to be tough at the next general election. It seems you don't need to have a Labour candidate in place to win. If that's the case, then I think the SNP are likely to be completely wiped out. And if that's the case, then it is time for Humza Yousaf to consider his position and bugger off. Anyway, we'll take a look at this, see the results, see the people, and see why perhaps the SNP are so truly facing annihilation. Here goes. So SNP lose another by-election with a huge vote decrease as Humza Yousaf's losing streak continues, and may it continue for much longer. Independent Jennifer Kelly replaced her dad Donald as a councillor for the South Kintyre ward on Argyll and Bute Council as the SNP's vote crashed by 15.7%. And you know, you got to think, how many more does he have to lose before he realises that he's not going to win anything and that they need to replace him? There needs to be a quiet word and a sort of request to, you know, step back from the front. Let someone else better versed in politics lead the party. On the other hand, the longer he stays there, firstly, the more entertaining it is, and secondly, the more the damage is done at the lower levels, and the less likely it is that the SNP face any kind of resurgence. So, you know, you have to take the rough with the smooth. The only trouble is they've got another 2 and a bit years before the next sort of Holyrood elections, and you have to wonder how much more damage can they do to Scotland. So perhaps a change of direction at the top may swing things, and we can have someone sane, at least for 2 years, running the party anyway. Anyway, the SNP have lost another council by-election with a significant decrease in the votes as Humza Yousaf's election losing streak continues. An independent councillor was elected for the South Kintyre ward, and it was the daughter of the original politician, who was an SNP man, who stepped down. Jennifer Kelly replaces her dad Donald, who resigned from Argyll and Bute Council in August. She beat Joe Cunningham of the Tories, Kenny Mackenzie of Lib Dems, Alan McManus for Future's Sake Freedom Alliance, and John Richardson SNP. Not a single Labour candidate. That's very weird, isn't it? They normally fight everywhere. So, you know, wonder why. Is it just that the Labour are so unpopular out there on the West Coast that they just know not to even bother? Although, to be fair, where that is, if you sort of come down, we like to call that Scotland's wang. You know, it is the cock of Scotland, isn't it? Comes down, looks like a... Well, let's just leave it there to your imagination. Anyway, the fight to replace Donald Kelly was expected to be a 3-horse race between the independent candidate, the Conservatives and the Nationalists. Mr Yousaf's party won the region at the council elections in 2022, but suffered another torrid time on polling day. They secured 32.8% of first preference votes last year, but this plummeted by 15.7% to 17.1%. A massive fall. Nearly half their voter base have gone. And we've seen this in other places where their voter base has literally collapsed. And where you're at a point now where even people who would vote yes to independence, barely over half, literally something like 53%, who would vote for the SNP to achieve it. I mean, if you can't garner 53%, or if you can only garner 53% of people who would vote for independence and you're the Independence Party, then stick a fork in it, because that goose is cooked, you know. Anyway, From an electorate of 5,088, just 1,592 ballot papers were received, which means a percentage turnout of about 31%. The South Kintyre ward includes the areas surrounding Peninva even, Drumlemble, Southend and Campbelltown. I have been to none of those places. That's one of the few areas of Scotland I've never actually been there. Have I been to... No, I haven't been to Campbelltown. Been across the top because we went over to Oban. But no, don't think I've been down that far. Never been down to the Mull of Kintyre. Anyway, the number of first preference votes for each of the candidates was Joe Cunningham, Scottish Cons and Unionist, 208. Jennifer Mary Kelly, Independent, 913. Massive victory, percentage-wise. Not a huge number of votes, but obviously small ward. Kenny Mackenzie, Scott Lib Dems, 183. Alan McManus, well done, 7. You guarantee one of them was his wife, you'd like to think. John Richardson, Scottish National Party, 271. Pathetic. Absolutely pathetic. Now, the SNP have got to be looking at this result and going, where the hell has all our votes gone? Where have they gone? Because they're just destroyed. They are literally evaporating. Their support is going. Even the hardcore lunatic fringe of the SNP must accept that the SNP is finished as a political power in Scotland. And that's just fantastic. Pollster, Ballot Box Scotland, predicted that it would be a close run thing between the three candidates. It wasn't in the end, was it? They wrote in the preview, the SNP have been having a torrid time of recent by-election results. So whilst they have a clear 2022 advantage here, it is likely to be very vulnerable to erosion and their voters simply staying at home. And I think that's exactly what happened. People just could not be bothered to get out and vote for the SNP because they see what they're doing. They see the damage they're causing. They see what damage they're going to cause in future. And they just went, enough is enough. And it just won't wash, will it? Anyway, Mr. Yousaf has suffered 3 council by-elections since becoming First Minister, with his party falling to crushing losses in North Lanarkshire, South Lanarkshire and South Ayrshire. And this, coupled with the thrashing in Rutherglen and Hamilton West vote, means it has been a tough 8 months in office for him. And things are only going to get worse from here on in. The SNP have also been beaten in Aberdeen, Edinburgh and Dumfries and Galloway council by-elections since the local elections in 2022. Nobody wants the SNP anymore. Their day is done. They are finished. Both politically and I think totally. I think they're going to go bankrupt. I think their coffers are running out. And I think they're just going to have to sort of roll over and die as a political party. And I don't think anyone will mourn that. It's about time. Anyway, we shall round off, come up, and we'll finish the video. But we shall do so with a smile on our face and a song in our heart. Hey, coming up. But it is the case. You have to wonder, how many more defeats does the party have to face before they realise that they've got the wrong man standing as their leader? A man who has got all the charm of a nasty venereal disease. He really is a charmless oik. He's a man who wants to damage Scotland. He's a man who hates the culture of Scotland. A man who hates the people of Scotland. And a man who is, as we know, an extraordinarily racist man who hates white people. Wants to flood the country with immigrants to try and brown it down a bit. And yet, he keeps getting elected. Who votes for him? Who votes for him? Morons! But the party can't be filled with that many stupid people, surely. Can it? How? How is it possible? But it is. Anyway, we shall stop there. We've got a lot of videos to get through today. I'll tell you, there's loads of stories. And coming next is Ash Regan. She's always worth a laugh as well. Another one, not so bright, you know. She's not so bright, but she has at least seen the light and dumped the SNP. So we'll give her a little bit of credence for that. But watch out for that. That's coming up next. Anyway, till then, stay safe, stay well, and well done to Jennifer Kelly. You know, a little voice of reason down there, sort of on the southwest of Scotland. On Scotland's Wang. Bye.